All right, good morning, true believers. I am John Krupa, and this is the Freedom to Draw Unsolved Mysteries. This morning's case is out of Center County, Pennsylvania. It's a little town called Bellefonte. There is a lot of people missing from this town and the nearby areas. Almost every case that was missing we have covered, except for this one, which this is the case of Brenda Condon. We're gonna draw her. We're also gonna tell you her story on this episode of the Freedom to Draw Unsolved Mysteries in a mere amount of seconds, folks. Join me, John Krupa, as we exercise our right and our freedom to draw unsolved mysteries. Alright, guys. This is the episode of a woman from Center County went missing over 30 years ago, guys. This is the case of Brenda Condon. Over 30 years later, the disappearance of a Center County woman remains a mystery. And this article is from 2021. No, it's from 2023, I'm sorry. April of 2023. So this is about last year. Give or take a couple of months. A pair of black boots found in the men's bathroom was the only trace left of Brenda Condon, who was 28 when she disappeared while working a closing shift in Center County. This is the case of Brenda Condon. Condon was 28 and was working the night shift at Carlsbad Tavern on February 27, 1991. At the time of her disappearance, the tavern was located along a rural area on State Route 550, just 2 miles north of Bellefonte. And this is what it looked like. Kind of like a hole in the wall. And here's what Brenda looked like in color. Carlsbad Tavern, where Brenda Condon had worked for about 2 weeks. That is not true. Maybe she got trained for 2 weeks, but she was only working there 2 days. So she worked a full shift on Sunday or something like that, and then she worked this shift where she disappeared. It was her second night, and it was a Tuesday, and it was a late night shift. So that's wrong. She was new to this job, working there for only a couple of days. It says weeks here, but it was her second job. She also ran home cleaning services branches in State College and Williamsport. So she had a lot of accounts with people and cleaning their homes was a part of her day job, and this is what she did at night. The night Brenda was working a double shift, she was expected to close the bar after last call and clean up, and then begin her day shift at 10 a.m. according to the schedule. Condon's second shift would have officially ended on February 27th at 6 p.m. And the investigators on scene said that the place was very messy and there was still tips on the bar. There was still money on the bar left, and it looked like people had been drinking there. Also, there was a cigarette vendor that came in and went and did his job and just figured that because they saw Brenda's car was out there and the place was unlocked, they just figured she was in the back. And there was also carpet repairmen, I guess, vendors. They did the same. Now, could they have possibly seen that there was no one at the bar, and after they got done with their job, they wanted a quick drink, and they didn't want to steal, and they just got tired of waiting for her, so they left money on the counter? That is possible. And when you're working graveyard shifts and stuff like that, you can do stuff like that to kill time between the next job and that job. They may have wanted to knock their work off real quick and then set some time, 15 minutes, to drink at a bar. And they couldn't find a bartender, but didn't stop them. Or were they involved in it? These are just scenarios that I'm pointing out. She was reportedly last seen between the hours of 12:45 midnight and 1:15 a.m. on February 27th. According to witnesses, she was talking to an unknown man inside the bar. Condon was wearing a pair of black cowboy boots, a silver shirt over a black tank top, and jeans with silver studs. The owner of Carlsbad Tavern, his name was Carl, and he was supposed to be really good friends with Brenda's boyfriend at the time. His name was Greg. We're not doing any last names, but Greg and Carl were supposed to be best friends, and that's how she got the job. When the day crew began trickling in for work the next morning, Condon's absence wasn't noticed. The shift carried on as normal. The bar was tidy, with receipts put away from the previous night and the lights off. There were no signs of a break-in or a robbery. It wasn't until Condon's relieving shift came in at 6 p.m. the crew members noticed her absence. Her gray 1986 Mercury Capri was still in the parking lot, but Condon's keys were never recovered. So this was her car. And the boyfriend just went about his own day. When it came time for Brenda to usually come home from work, she didn't come home. He didn't think nothing of it, which astounds me. It's astounding to me. And the reason he gave why he wasn't going there and meeting her, well, on the nights that she worked, was he didn't have a car and it was too far to take a bike. So he would just leave her go into the parking lot at those hours of the night at a bar in the middle of nowhere. And this was supposed to be his girlfriend. Just passing that information on. There's really no judgment, but if that was me, I wouldn't like that. That's all I'm saying. There is a website called BrendaCondon.com. It's BrendaCondon.com. It's all one word, and then the .com. You can look at this case further. This is a very complex case, if you ask me, in my opinion. This car is similar to the gray 1986 Mercury Capri that Brenda was driving. Besides the car, the only sign Condon had been inside the bar was a pair of her black cowboy boots. The boots were neatly placed inside the men's bathroom. This is perplexing because obviously she was a woman. And what the heck was her boots doing in the men's bathroom? Could she have been tired of walking around in those boots and brought a pair of sneakers to change into? That's all well could be done, but what made her want to go in the men's bathroom and neatly place them in the men's bathroom? She was reported missing on the evening of February 27th, but an active investigation into Brenda's disappearance wasn't initiated until she failed to pick up her 2 children on March 2nd. And like I said, the boyfriend, this is her missing persons flyer. The boyfriend just went about his day. Didn't think nothing of it. That his girlfriend never came home from her in the middle of nowhere bar job. Seems suspicious. Once investigators realized she wasn't showing up, they realized they had a problem because she was always very punctual and conscientious about being there for us, said Brenda's son, who wished to remain anonymous. And I listened to a podcast with Brenda's sister, Iris. She said she would never have left the kids on their own. Her whole world revolved around those kids. And this is an account from her son. Brenda's children, who were 10 and 12 at that time of her disappearance, were living with their father in order to stay close to their friends following their parents divorced. They divorced, and the dad had a house and Brenda had an apartment. And it's basically as simple as the kids didn't want to stay in an apartment, so they would just go and see their mother every weekend, because they were just so used to living in a house. And it's understandable. The separation itself had been amicable, just two people who drifted apart from each other's marriage. The son says, "My parents didn't even have a custody agreement. She could get us anytime she wanted," he told investigators. They talked a lot, and she would call sometimes just to talk to him about different things, so it was certainly a good relationship. However, at first, law enforcement focused on Brenda's former husband, as in typical most missing persons cases, but the son says there's no way he could have possibly harmed his mother. And her sister collaborates that same sentiment. The former husband is not a suspect in her eyes. But the boyfriend, that's another story. He is the suspect in Iris's mind, the sister's mind. And it seems suspect to me that someone that's supposed to be in a relationship with someone would just not even worry about her when she doesn't come home from work, especially since she's proven to be very punctual. Also, it was told to Brenda's sister later that Carl, the owner of Carl's Bad Tavern, and Greg, they were good friends, and they also said that Brenda looked a lot like Carl's girlfriend at the time. And they were also known to be dabbling in drugs. Her boyfriend worked at a gas station or something, pumping gas, but it was said by the authorities that he was in the back dealing drugs too. That is what Brenda's sister says. That's what she knows about the guy named Greg. She had met Greg because he was in a band, and Brenda would do quite a bit of time bar hopping. And when they found his band, they liked it a lot, and they would be kind of like groupies, and they would follow the band around wherever they would go, and they developed a relationship from that. Taking everything in stride, the son's father answered the questions from the police, took a polygraph test, and shouldered a lot of the burden following the immediate aftermath. I think Greg, the boyfriend, took a polygraph, but pretty sure Carl, the owner of Carl's Bad Tavern, flat out refused to take a polygraph test. Just interesting to note. We had a problem that nobody else had, but my dad did the best that he could with what means he had, said the son. The loss remained far from easy, though. It was rough not having the other parent to guide you along. We always talk about how important it is to have a father, but it just is as important to have a mother, because there are things a mother does that a father just can't do or explain. To this day, her son still receives updates from police about the case. However, the son says when there's nothing coming in, there's nothing for officers to do. Regarding a strange piece of evidence, Brenda's black boots in the men's bathroom, the son had the following thoughts. She always had nice boots. She had a pair of every kind that matched her outfit. She always wore sneakers to clean because they were far more comfortable than those boots. To him, if the cleaning closet was in the men's bathroom, it makes sense for her to change into the sneakers to begin cleaning, placing her boots inside the bathroom for when she's finished. But if the cleaning closet wasn't in the men's bathroom, then there wasn't much of a reason for her boots to be there, either making the theory that she was cleaning not line up in his eyes. According to the son, his sister and he just wants a place to memorialize their mom, a spot to go and remember the good times. Somebody has that answer. Maybe they'll never be caught by law enforcement if they did do something, but they'll still have time to answer. We would really like to have closure, said the son. And it's been changed over numerous times, this place, Carlsbad Tavern. It's been a pizza place since then. It's been another bar since then. And I am unsure as if it's been remodeled. That I do not know. Unfortunately, I do not know if it's been remodeled or anything to that effect. And the locations of the places may have changed. We're talking 91. This is a long time ago. Now the sketches. 3 composite sketches were drawn featuring patrons of Carlsbad Tavern that visited the bar that night on Brenda's disappearance. Though not suspects, the 3 men have remained unidentified to the public since 1991. And here's those sketches there. It is interesting to note that although the sister thinks Greg is a strong suspect, there was a guy named James Robert Cruz, and he was a truck driver, and he would travel Interstate 80, which is near this bar. And her sister Iris said that one of these sketches looks like the James Robert Cruz, and she actually wanted to go into the prison and ask him if he was at that bar that night. The police would not comply with her, and she was not allowed Now, it's fuzzy to me now if he's still alive. I don't know. I know that Greg, the boyfriend that Iris thinks was a strong suspect, he has since passed away. He's no longer around. So then that takes us to the serial killer aspect of this case. Could there have been a serial killer lurking around that area? Here is the unidentified patron number 1. A white male who was approximately 50 years old and 5'8". He was wearing a short dark jacket, dark slacks, and a brown plaid shirt. Here is unidentified patron number 2. A white male. He was approximately 38 to 40 years old in 1991 and was approximately 6'2". He was wearing a bright blue down jacket and jeans. Unidentified patron number 3. A white male who was approximately 25 to 30 years old. He was approximately 5'8" and wearing a black leather coat, white button-down shirt, and jeans. They have the sketches of 3 people, whether they're suspects, persons of interest, witnesses, or just people drinking at a bar. That's still up to speculation, said Detective Ken Maines. And we know him at this channel. We like him. We like Ken, who has a YouTube series on Condon's disappearance and has worked on solving her case. And thank you to Ken Maines. That's how I found out about this case. And now we talked about the serial killer connection. Also, there was cases of missing people and murdered people right around this area. And I can dispel some of these. Barbara Miller was not near this area. There's YouTube shows that say that maybe her case was connected, but Bellefonte and Barbara Miller's case was in Sunbury. Those are pretty far apart. I would doubt that highly that has something to do with this case, is connected. Don Miller, I'm unfamiliar with that, but Detective Ken Maines is familiar with that. He's had supposedly solved that murder, so he never said anything that this was connected to that. Joey Lynn Alfont. Now her case was where she was her house was torched and she was never found again. There might be something connected to that, and that was near this area, Bellefonte, and we did a show on that. We'll link that up in the description at the end of this, in the description part of this episode. Catherine Heckle, I do not know anything about that case, so you have to stay tuned for that one. And Cindy Song and Ray Griccar, they were both near this area, and the Ray Griccar one I don't think was connected, but Cindy Song, again, that's a question mark. That happened 10 years later. People suspect that she was a victim of a serial killer. So Yes, those are interesting points. Also, one more tidbit. America's Most Wanted. This was said by Iris, Brenda's sister. They turned this story down back in 91 or 92. They said it was not gory enough. Now, this isn't reflecting on what John Walsh thinks, I guess, but one of his producers wants it to be more violent, I guess. It's kind of despicable, I think, but I just thought I'd add that in there. But guys, that does it for this case of Brenda Condon. Please do something nice for somebody today. It doesn't cost you anything, and it makes everyone around you feel better. Alright, so try that out. Until the next episode, peace out, true believers.